Good morning, grade 5. I hope everyone enjoyed their extra long weekend and had 5 days off and took the time to celebrate Eid with their friends and family, either in person or at least virtually. So happy Thursday. You only have one day of school this week and then you have 2 more days off, so that's kind of nice. I'm going to go full screen on this so that you can have a clearer picture on your iPad. All right, so Narnia Book Club. Our lesson for today is going to focus on allegory. And you might not know what allegory is, but here's a short definition. It's basically a story, poem, or picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, typically a moral or political one. So let's watch this video that will help you understand what allegory is.
If you're drowning in a sea of symbols, you're probably wishing for a life preserver. I'll throw you one next. It's the definition of allegory. In almost every book you read for English, you'll probably come across at least one symbol. But when everything stands for something else, you don't just have an author who's obsessed with symbols. You have an allegory. Now, I'm not big on scholarly stuff, but here's a tidbit that's actually pretty awesome. Allegory comes from the Greek word allegoria, which means speaking otherwise. Translation: an allegory is all about double meaning. You've got what's going on the surface of the story, and then you have a political or social message that all the elements of the story are working together to convey. There's no telltale sign for an allegory, but often allegories have fantastical elements. And context helps too. If you know the author had a thing for criticizing the government, you might have an allegory on your hands. Still confused? Lord of the Flies, Gulliver's Travels, and The Wizard of Oz are all allegories. Check one out to experience allegory firsthand.
Okay, so basically from the video, I hope you understood that an allegory is when a story has two levels of meaning. So the first one, a reader can understand and interpret the story at a literal level. So they can discuss the basics of the character and the setting and the plot, like what are their names, where are they from, where are they going, what's happening in the story. Another way to look at the details of the character, the setting, and the plot is through a symbolic and figurative way. So we already talked a little bit about symbolism when we looked at Malala last unit. So basically, if something is symbolic, it has a deeper meaning and may represent something else. And the symbolic meaning of an allegory is usually political, religious, historical, or philosophical. So basically, when you think of allegory is when you have a lot of symbols or symbolism in a story to give a deeper meaning. So all of the whole Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is an allegory. That means everything. It has a lot of symbols to represent something else, to have a deeper meaning in this story. So the author C.S. Lewis' allegory meaning in his novel is religion, more specifically Christianity. Christianity is a type of religion. And in this novel, we will see symbolic meanings to help reinforce his allegory of religion by looking at good and evil, those two you know. And then redemption, which is the action of saving or being saved from sin, error, or evil, which is basically to make good. And then there's betrayal, which is destroying someone's, either a person or a country's trust, so possibly lying or being sneaky. So these are just some of the ways that he's going to show and make connections between his allegory theme and the literal aspects of the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So you might not know, but these are different types of religions that are around the world. So if we look at this chart over here, we can see Christianity, which is the religion that he is using to portray in his novel, is all the purple countries, Islamic, all the green, Buddhism, Judaism, etc. So there's lots of different religions around the world. So how do we know that Christianity and religion is the underlying allegory in this novel? Well, here is some evidence that we've seen so far in his text. I had a lot of my students ask me, why are they always referring to the humans as sons of Adam and daughters of Eve? That's a big clue. Well, it's because in Christianity, Adam and Eve are the first humans created by God. Now, we've seen more recently in chapter 8 that Lord Aslan, they referred to Aslan as Lord. Lord is another name for God. They also mentioned old rhymes. This could make a connection to scripture in the Bible. The Bible is the holy book of Christianity. So old rhymes or scripture, those are the words of the God of Christianity. And then they also mentioned prophecy. We see a lot of prophecies happening in the Bible, and that's a prediction of what will happen in the future. So those were just some evidence for the reader to know that C.S. Lewis, the author, is making connections through Christianity in his novel. So your assignment 1 for today is I want you to connect to symbolism. And I want you to think about these main characters over here on the left side of this column. What are they representing? What is C.S. Lewis having them portray in the novel? So, for example, we know that the White Witch, she represents the evil part. Okay? I put some word banks over here, but obviously you can choose some other words. But what do you think Peter, Susan, Edmund, Lucy, and Aslan, what do you think they symbolize? And you would just put 1 or 2 words if you want to match up with each character. And then assignment 2 is your comprehension. Don't forget to use your thinking skills here and answer 1, 2, 3 questions. Question number 1, who is Aslan? What does Mr. Beaver share with the children about him? Question number 2, why does Mr. Beaver think that the witch's reign must be coming to an end? And question 3, what happened to Edmund? So make sure you're being responsible by doing both assignments and making sure that you turn them in on Google Classroom. That way that your teacher can see all the work that you have done. Okay, that's it. Bye for now, boys and girls. Have a great weekend.